Hello, hello. How are you, Niloo?
It's been so long. I'm good.
Yeah,
How are
it
you?
was. Yeah. I missed you. How are you going?
I miss you too. Well, we talk all the time offline, but the people don't know. I'm good. I'm good. The sun was shining today, so that's always a good day. How about you?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. We are finally out of the lockdown, so we kind of free people across Australia, so we can travel a little bit more. We can enjoy ourselves a bit more. It's beautiful weather, but a bit rainy in Melbourne, but it's all good. So thanks for everyone who's going to join us or watch later our monthly sessions with beautiful Niloo from Get Fit Science Official. As you probably already know, Niloo is a biochemist, and I'm Anastasia Thomas. I'm a vlogger from Australian Business UBiz blog. Because Australian Business UBiz blog shares Australian story, however, Niloo represents the very fundamental and important subject. It's a healthy food, and as we know, healthy food is pretty much universal subject. So every single person across the world, we need to know how to eat healthy because health is the major asset that we have. So me and Niloo, we already spoke for last year and covered different topics. I actually put them together today, and then I can direct you later which topics we covered. But pretty much it's all about protein, muscles building. We talked about coffee intake. We talked about perfect calories,
Mhm.
1800 calories a day, and yeah, and how to lose the weight and stay fit and all the rest of it. But today we have a very couple of different questions from Niloo's audience regarding to various topics. So the first topics that I want to ask, and I actually wrote it down, and I'm sure somebody's actually watching us right now. Please don't forget to ask questions. Niloo, so detox diets and drinks. It's a lot of different detox diets and a lot of drinks, beverages. So can you just talk about it more? What's the actual detox diets? What is it?
Okay.
I know it's a
Um,
sore subject, but anyway.
okay, I'm not gonna like everything that we're talking about is obviously based on the science that I could find and it's based on research. So it's not specifically based on my opinion, but I'll give my opinion at the end. Okay.
Sure.
So in terms of detoxes, nowadays it's basically a marketing term. So a lot of companies are creating supplements and drinks, pills, specific programs like cleansers or herbal remedies, etc., in order to detox your body from toxins. So what does it really mean? There is no good science supporting any of these detoxes. I'm not saying that any specific company is bad per se, but what I am saying is that there aren't well-designed studies without anything beyond anecdotal evidence. So people that will use the products and then tell their friends, and maybe their friends will like what sort of results they're seeing. But the problem that I have with detoxes is that in general, they're always used as a marketing term. So
Okay.
there is no evidence to prove that your body needs to detox. The actual term detox is used in a clinical setting with people that have serious conditions. So they may do it in the form of fasting, but this is
Mm-hmm.
monitored by professionals that specialize in this area. Besides fasting, they may do like chelation therapy, which is to get rid of heavy metals in your body. But any of these supplements out there, detox teas, fit teas, all of that kind of stuff, it's there is no actual evidence. And if companies come out with studies, it's because the company paid for specific studies and they weren't necessarily done by third-party agencies, because the supplement industry, as I've said before, is not regulated by the FDA. So they can make a lot of claims and use a lot of verbiage on their products to say that it's going to do X, Y, and Z, but and there have been lawsuits. Like there have been tons of lawsuits with different companies where people have gone after them because they made certain claims and it's not true. So what you do need to do in order to detox your body, let's say
Mm-hmm.
you haven't been eating well, focus on foods high in fiber. So you have your soluble and insoluble sources, and focus on having foods rich in micronutrients so that you're eating a lot of like plants and like leafy greens and things like that. And that sort of stuff is going to be really good for your liver and your kidneys, which are working around the clock to rid your body of waste. So that's all you really need. Like, our bodies are much smarter than any supplement out there.
Yeah, because I think in a perspective of, I think what you're talking about rather than say having heavy meals for the whole week and drink and party, and then, okay, I'm going into detox mode for the next week. You're probably talking about having a balanced diet on a regular basis, rather than saying, okay, tomorrow I have a detox and I'm drinking only, I don't know, cucumber. Drink or mango just for a day. So this is my detox. So what you mean is you're talking about balance, rather than waiting to that detox time. Okay, a month of detox. I'm not eating this and that. The body is gonna say, hang on a minute, I used to this. Now you're trying to detox me, so-called detox.
Yeah.
So you're talking about that being consistent in what you're eating, rather than getting yourself in the mode of completely shutting down the body and drinking mango drink for a week, for example.
Exactly. Perfectly summarized. I mean, I'm not saying you have to eat salad every single day of the week. Have those meals that are not necessarily part of your normal everyday eating. Enjoy the pizza, enjoy the ice cream, just don't go overboard. Have that balance so that you don't have this need to go after some detox supplement that may or may not work. And most of the time, I gotta say that they do contain a lot of laxatives and things like that. So you may feel lighter, you may feel better, but that's just because it's trying to initiate a process much quicker than maybe it should.
That's
regular. So it's if you think you lost weight on it, most likely it's water weight. And then once you get back to your normal way of eating, that weight will come back. So just don't fall for it. Save your money on good quality food.
Rather than, well, it's rolling into that next question, intermittent fasting. So I actually went and did a bit of in the Wikipedia research, but you are better than that. So it's basically described as an eating pattern where you cycle between periods of eating and fasting. So say, for example, you eat and then you have a break between eating, and then you eat again. So do you think it's a good idea, intermittent fasting?
Okay, so intermittent fasting, it works for a lot of people, and it also doesn't work for a lot of people. So it's one of those things that, of course, always consult your physician before taking on any kind of drastic change in your eating patterns. But if you have done that and they give you the go ahead, then every person is different. I at one point tried it just to see what it was like. I did miserably on it. Like I just, it was not good. But I think that there are a lot of myths about it. So all it really is you have a certain window where you can eat, and then the rest of that time you're not eating, like you said. So the idea is that it's going to, like the things that they say on the internet is it's going to increase autophagy, which is cell turnover. So basically the cells in your body are going to turn over quicker so that you start to look more youthful with time, or like you're regenerating your cells. That kind of stuff has been proven in rodent, earthworm, yeast studies in a clinical setting. That it hasn't been proven in human beings because it's really hard to quantify or to qualify what autophagy can look like in human beings. So it's really a stretch to say that, it's this hidden fountain of youth. If you start doing it, it's going to start making you lose a bunch of weight. A lot of the times, people that do lose weight on it, initially it is water weight, but it's more due to the fact that because you have a limited time window to eat, you're probably consuming fewer calories than you would if you were snacking and eating throughout the day. So they don't realize that they're actually getting into a caloric deficit, and that's probably why they're seeing initial results. But again, the body's really smart, and eventually it will even out. And so you will see that you're going to get adapted to whatever way you have taken on. Okay.
And Go
Sorry,
on.
I was just going to say that there is a difference between men and women as well. Men tend to, and I'm talking general terms, so there are men that won't do well on it, but they tend to do better on it simply because women have hormonal fluctuations throughout the month. So that can cause a lot of shifts in the body, and intermittent fasting is not recommended to do consistently the way that a man would probably do it. So there's different methods and ways to do it, but there's one way for women called crescendo fasting, where maybe they'll do it 2 days a week and then a couple of days they won't, and so it just keeps changing to allow the hormones to be more stabilized. So
it's very interesting. Yeah, very interesting about hormones. We need to remember hormones. Yeah, we always forget about hormones. Yeah, that's
so important.
Well, quick question to it: that do you think, just yes or no, and we can leave it till next
Did I do
session.
that?
Do you think that 16 hours break between meals is good for you? Like not eating, like you're not eating for 16 hours.
It can be fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that, because most of the time in most populations right now, like at least in the Western world, you probably have extra fat storage on your body that you can sustain that for a certain period of time. So there's nothing wrong with the not eating for 16 hours. It's just that I don't necessarily think that it might be the best way if weight loss is your goal, because some people have seen weight loss, but again, by weight loss, they've probably seen a lot of muscle loss. And that is where you can get into a whole myriad of problems, because you want to try to lose weight and maintain as much muscle on your body as possible for general overall health as you age. So it's not necessarily good just to do it for the sake of, I just want to see a lower number on the scale. So there is no clear like yes and no to that. It depends on the person and your goals.
Okay. Niloo, Nalin from Melbourne is asking, what do you think about energy pendants that manage frequency to help your body build stamina? It's a very interesting question.
Like wearables?
What do you think? Energy pendants that manage frequency to help your body build stamina. Energy pendants.
I think she's referring to maybe
it's here.
Stones or like necklaces, maybe with like a specific.
Yes. Saying yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I personally have not seen any science on that. I can't really answer that specific question. I could look into it and get back to you.
Nalin, he's from Melbourne. So what we will do, we'll prepare that for the next session for you, Nalin. And we'll take this question and we'll expand on a Geff Walker from Sydney. Hi, Geff. So he's asking, I've been told weight training is far better to lose fat than cardio. Thoughts? Absolutely. So weight training is far better to lose fat than cardio. What's your thoughts? Thanks, Geff, for question. Thanks for popping in.
Great question. It's a common misconception when people are first getting into their fitness journeys. Weight training is so important. And I will just keep saying this. Like, I don't care if you're a 60, 70, 80-year-old woman, if you're going in and it doesn't have to be heavy weights, it's so important to maintain like general health in your body, like I say, like bone health, joint health, all of that kind of stuff. But in terms of fat loss, the more muscle that you can build on your body, the higher your resting metabolic rate will be. So that's the metabolic rate that you have not doing anything during the day. Like it's just your normal calorie burn. So weight training is the way that you can stimulate muscle protein synthesis, which is the production of, which is taking protein in the body, like amino acids, and trying to build muscle, right? So that is why it's really important for fat loss, because the more lean muscle mass you have, the lower your body fat percentage will be. Cardio is really good for having a caloric burn. But the problem with cardio is that if you're just doing cardio and you're not doing any kind of resistance training, you could be overdoing it and yes, you have a high calorie burn, so that's going to help you lose weight on the scale, but you could also be burning muscle in the process. So the more cardio you do, if you're not doing strength training, you're eventually going to get past a threshold, and you will get to a smaller physique, but you won't have muscle there to actually make your physique look defined and get that look that we all see like online or in magazines and stuff, like the lean look that everybody is after, right?
Yeah.
So highly recommend strength training over cardio any day. Cardio, though, is important to put into a well-rounded program in order to help not only like to help along the fat loss, to show those muscles eventually, but for your heart. So
I was just going to say, yeah, it's very important. And also, Gev, thank you for the question. Awesome, thanks for that answer. Gev, we actually had a great presentation, our session, how to gain muscle and lose weight with Niloo. We've done, last year it was. So I will be able also to send you this link for YouTube, so you can watch the like sort of broader answer as well to this question, as much as Niloo answered it right now, but you can listen a bit more about it. So Nalin, thank you so much. Sure, we'll send you the links. Yeah, you're welcome to send us the links, and me and Niloo, we might pop it in this question for the next session as well. Just stay tuned for that.
Thanks for your
so
question.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for those questions. So we're moving to the next one. Some of your audience member, he asked the question, what about the vegetarian sources of protein? It's a very good question, because we've got a lot of vegetarians across the world. So, and there's also, we talked about it before, but we know that protein only, most of the people think that it's a meat, but it's not necessarily a meat. So Niloo, just can you tell us a list of vegetarian best sources of protein, please?
Okay. We will also link an article, because I did write one that was comparing plant-based protein to animal protein. So if you guys want to get a more exhaustive list, when it comes to vegetarian protein sources, you have two types. So you have sources that are complete proteins, which means that they have a full amino acid profile. That means that it is optimally digestible and absorbable by your body in order to initiate increased muscle mass in your body, as long as you're doing resistance training, of course.
Yep.
Incomplete sources, you need to combine various plant-based sources together in order to make a complete source. So incomplete sources, for instance, if you have beans, let's say you have black beans, that's an incomplete source. But if you combine black beans with rice, then you get a complete source of protein, because one of them lacks methionine or lysine and the other one will have that. So then when you put it together, it becomes as good as an animal-based protein. So whole protein sources are examples would include chia seeds, chickpeas, ancient grains like amaranth or buckwheat. Those are whole protein. Soy, of course, quinoa, those are whole protein sources. But then the other ones, like other types of legumes, you will want to do the combination. So if you have hummus, for instance, put it on a piece of whole wheat toast. And then that way you're getting a full amino acid profile. If you have rice, combine it with beans. So it's just really important. You don't necessarily have to combine them in the same meal, as long as you track your protein for the day to ensure that you're hitting your target number, so that you're not under eating in protein.
Okay, fantastic. It's a good answer. I just wrote it down. I'm happy to hear about buckwheat, because buckwheat is very popular in Russia, and I've got buckwheat in my storages. And every time my hubby, he said you need to break it down. But I just love to have a buckwheat with butter and put some vegetables in it, and love it, like buckwheat. I'm happy to hear that it's a very great source of protein. That's fantastic to hear. Exactly. That's awesome. Thank you so much. So the next question is. Obviously, like even probably Gev could align with it, because best meals after workout. Say you had your workout in the gym, so what's the best meal to jump into straight away?
Okay, so after a workout, I'm assuming you've done resistance training, because I just told you should do resistance training.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Make sure that you have a combination of a good protein source. So by good, I mean a good quality. It can be any type of animal, like lean animal protein, or those complete protein sources that I mentioned before, and combine it with a fast digesting carbohydrate. So fruit is an excellent example because it goes right through your system. It helps replenish the used up glycogen stores that you used for that workout. So you're getting more good sugar into your body, and it helps transport that protein into your muscle so that you can start rebuilding muscle after you've torn down, like done little tears in your muscles after weight training. Try to reduce fat as much as possible in the immediate meal right after. Why? Because fat is the slowest digesting macronutrient. So if you put a lot of fat into that meal, it's going to slow down the digestion process, and your muscles will not get that benefit as quick as possible, like to be able to initiate muscle protein synthesis. So low in fat, a good source of protein and carbohydrates. So I have examples on my site. If you go to the recipe section, I do put ideal post-workout meals as a tag. So if you just go in the search bar and just put post-workout, then you'll see a list of some recipes that I've already done. So
I was just going to ask here if you've got a particular maybe article we can direct straight away people so they can check it out. How about smoothie, like a mango banana smoothie as well? Like, is it good for you if you add a bit of ice cream, of course, or it's fat? Well, I know it's fat, right?
Yeah.
So you said we need to decrease the fat, but if it's a milkshake, like say berry, banana, whatever, with the milk, is it good for you? Just a milkshake?
Milk is actually a really good source because it is animal derived. So it is a full amino acid profile, a full protein. So I would say have a good protein source in your shake. So I personally don't like protein powders. I don't like that flavor. So I do egg whites, but sometimes I'll do eggs, and I'm saying do whole eggs, even though whole eggs contain fat, but it works very differently in the body because there was a study that was done where they looked at people that did a workout, and then they examined, one group got just egg whites and the other group got whole eggs. And they found that the group that got the whole eggs was able to initiate better muscle protein synthesis, which is kind of against what you would normally think. And it's because there are other nutrients in the whole egg that help that process as well. It was a recent study. I think it came out in 2019 or 2020. It's linked in one of my articles that I wrote about. So yeah, just make sure you have a good quality protein in that shake. And you would try to aim for a ratio of 3:1. So 3 being your carbohydrates to 1 your protein ratio. So try to go for a range of 20 to 40 grams of protein post-workout. And that depends, again, on your goals and maybe the person, like the size of the person. So a very petite person might only need 20 grams. But in general, I would say a safe number is about 30 grams of protein.
30 grams of protein. Yeah. Okay, sounds good to me, but no ice cream.
No ice cream.
No ice cream. All right.
Ice cream for the weekends.
No ice cream. No. All right. So we talked about it briefly. That's a good one. So what's the best toning and slimming down legs? So it's a very good question. So like I guess it's a very broad, but if you could just briefly respond to it. So the best toning and slimming down legs.
Okay.
So we wanted them toned and slim, right? How to do that?
Okay. So in terms of toning is a term. Again, I'm trying to debunk all these terms for you guys. It is a marketing term. There in the scientific community, like in exercise research, there's no such thing as the word toning. Now, what I'm assuming the person is referring to is that they want to have a more, not to say muscular, because women, when you say muscular, a lot of women say, oh, well, I don't want to look bulky. I don't want to have like big legs. And that's not going to happen. Like that's a whole other thing. Okay. So what you want to do is you can't spot reduce, as they say. So for instance, if I was to do a leg workout, let's say I'm doing weights and I'm just doing legs for the day, just because I do that doesn't mean that all of a sudden all of the fat on my legs is going to go away and then I'm just going to have really like slim looking, but nice muscle definition legs. The way that it really works, and it depends on your genetics, is that if you decrease your overall body fat percentage by doing a good program with weights and a component of cardio and have a balanced diet, and if you're trying to slim down, you should be in a caloric deficit, a slight one. Then with time, as your body fat percentage reduces, all of the leg exercises that you've done, those muscles will build and will show with time. So you can't say that, okay, if you want to get nice legs, then all you should start doing is training legs. Like, you need to have a balanced body so that you don't have imbalances. And if you do it that way, then you will reduce your overall body fat. So it's not one specific exercise. That's a myth. Like, if you see something on the internet and they're telling you the 7 best leg exercises for skinny legs in 30 days, that's BS. Don't buy that stuff. It's not true. So.
See, I can easily be trapped into that, like trusting. And I'm sure this is topic probably more a lot. I don't want to discriminate, but it's probably what would be women who's trying to get the like slimmer and toned as the marketing explanation to it. And like, I myself can easily get trapped into it because I think, okay, I've got 10 days to get my legs slimmed and toned. So ladies, it's not possible, right? It's not going to happen.
I mean, it will be time, but like not in 10 days, and you have to balance exercise regimen. Yeah. So don't stop exercising your chest or your back or your glutes, which are the biggest muscles in your body, because you think, oh, if I do that, then I'm going to grow my legs at the same, like it's all connected. You got to do it balanced, and then it will show with time. So
maybe I have a question to you, maybe for the next one. Can you come up with a sort of maybe you can source as well, like sort of exercises that any ladies can do within the day to help legs to be toned and slimmed? It doesn't have to be anything, a whole program around it, but it could be maybe some fundamental exercising, like, for example, I'm a mom, I'm watching TV in the evening and I'm doing the particular exercising, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I do like, say, 15 minutes a day. And, say within 2 months time, I can see improvement. In the, maybe we can come up with sort of, if you can, of course.
Well, I mean, just really briefly, compound exercises, which is using like multiple joints in the body, are always fundamental exercises that most people should be incorporating into their workout routine. So for instance, a squat is a compound exercise because you're using many parts of your legs. You're using your core, because some people might not think about that, but you're using your core to be able to stabilize yourself as you're going down and coming up on the squat. Lunges are compound exercises. If you put those sort of things into your regimen, you're working multiple body parts, and it is going to help you get results faster than if you were just sitting there doing, what's an exercise? Like fire hydrants, like when you get on 4s and you're lifting your leg to one side, like
that would be me.
Don't just be me. Yeah, like don't just those are really good for your hip flexors, but don't just focus on isolating exercises. Like it's good to mix it up, and compound has to be a fundamental exercises that should be there multiple times a week.
That's a great advice, because like I believe, okay, I've got one zone to work on and I'm going to do this zone like for the whole week, and I'm sure like I'm not the only one on this planet who's thinking the same. So I'm sure ladies who are watching, some of them they can relate to that. So thanks for this advice. So balancing seafood in your diet. I love seafood. We all love seafood. Most of us love seafood. Some people don't, but we know there's a lot of mercury contained in seafood. I think we mentioned that in previous session. Can you just take us just briefly balancing seafood in your diet? How do you balance? How much seafood do you need to take if you want to a day?
Okay, so not all, I mean, mercury is a serious problem for sure, but where you are more concerned about mercury is for deeper swimming fish, for instance, tuna. that will contain more mercury than maybe salmon, right? So in terms of that, it's perfectly fine. Let's say a fish like tuna, like have it once a week. It's totally fine. There are good omega-3s. There are many benefits to that type of fish. Salmon, you could probably aim, because it has really good fatty acids in it, you could aim for twice a week. So, you can sprinkle it in there, and it should be sufficient, but try not to overdo it. Like, don't have tuna 4 or 5 times a week. Try to avoid it. And of course, the conditions will vary for like children or pregnant women, because they have different group of
Niloo, what's the major impact and effect of mercury on your body? Like, if, for example, somebody obsessed with seafood and they eat it every day, like 7 days a week. Yeah. So what's the major risk of mercury?
Well, it can build up in the body. And then earlier when we talked about detoxes and how I told you that in a clinical setting, if somebody, let's say, has a buildup of mercury in their body, they would need to go through chelation therapy with a specialist to rid their body of these heavy metals. So it's very toxic. It's just, that's how I can sum it up. So you don't want to have a buildup of that in your body, because it can affect all of your organs.
Okay. Well, yeah, you need to think about it really carefully when we are consuming seafood.
Yeah, 1 to 2 times
on a daily basis.
Would be fine.
Yeah, it's important to think through about that. Thank you so much. I've got a last question, and probably came from me. We have not so much time left, but anyway, it's a huge subject, which is a keto diet. It's very popular diet these days. A couple of my friends, my girlfriends, they utilize in this diet and they stick to it. And I had a situation when I was thinking, oh my goodness, this lady, she doesn't eat anything anymore. So because she's on a keto diet. So in the different sources, there's a 2 different descriptions, which is the same but different. In Wikipedia, if we're looking at the Wikipedia research, it's a high-fat, adequate protein, low-carbohydrate diet that in medicine is used mainly to treat hard-to-control epilepsy in children. That's in Wikipedia. And another story is, which has become popular all of a sudden outside of epilepsy in children, it's extreme low carbohydrate diet that aims to promote the metabolism of fats into ketone bodies to provide the body main source of energy. So there's 2 different kind of description. Just to briefly, from your side, in your opinion, and keto diet, and we're gonna extend on this subject with our next session. I promise you guys. I know I did, but it's a huge subject to talk about. Niloo, your 1 minute to go.
Okay. Well, first off, you guys can start off with an article. I did write one called like Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About the Ketogenic Diet. It is correct that initially the ketogenic diet was used in the 1920s and 30s for people that had epilepsy or were having seizures. So they don't necessarily understand why, but something in the mechanism of reducing carbohydrate intake was helping these individuals not get seizures, or reduce the number of seizures that they were getting. How it came into mainstream, like in the last few years, I think like probably from 2016 onwards, is this idea that you can have really high fat foods. Now, over there it said an adequate amount of protein. That's where I am not in agreement with that, because I think that the amount of protein, because you can't go too high on the ketogenic diet, is not an ideal amount in order to encourage a good amount of muscle on your body. So yes, people end up losing a lot of weight, and it depends on the person. Some people go on keto and they don't lose that much weight. Maybe they have an initial weight loss. And again, initial weight loss is usually water weight, because carbohydrates, for every gram of carbohydrate, it carries like 3 times the amount of water. So that's why if you consume a lot of carbs, you look bloated. So once they cut out all these carbs, they start to look slimmer because they're not as bloated. And they believe that it's weight loss, or in the sense of weight loss isn't fat loss, which is not the same thing. Like your weight could go down, but your fat doesn't necessarily go down in the process. And that's where I'm concerned about that diet, because I don't think that it's for a lot of people anyway. It's not a sustainable thing because you're restricting a lot of food groups. You might get into mineral and vitamin deficiencies because you're not having as many fruits and vegetables that you would normally be having on a more balanced diet. And the research shows, unfortunately, that there aren't enough studies, well-designed studies, that have been done past a 1 to 2 year mark. So we really don't know what the long-term implications of being on a ketogenic diet are. You may get the nice aesthetic that you're looking for at the outset, but we don't really know how it affects your internal organs in the long term. So
okay.
I always believe in balance, but that's just me. And if someone's on it and you're doing well with it, then more power to you. But like I said, always consult a doctor first before doing any of this kind of stuff.
Do you think we can extend a bit more for our next session as well, a bit more in a detail and explain what actually component of keto diet and how it can impact on different certain, like if you eliminate fruit or vegetables or that sorts of stuff. And I really like about bloating because I didn't know that. So like, yeah, so can we extend a bit more next time? And we can sort of so but you briefly explained that. I think it's it give a bit of a clarity. I just popped it in on the screen. Can I get a high cholesterol from keto diet? The question from Reni Petkov. So thanks, Reni.
You can. I would recommend, I mean, like I said, you should see a doctor before doing that. Like, please don't go to the internet and like read an article and then see that it's good and then suddenly start doing it. If you have existing conditions, before starting a diet, like refer to your doctor first. If they give you the go ahead, then go for it. But in terms of cholesterol, definitely, because a lot of the times people are not going for the healthy fats. They're going for the bacon. They're going for the saturated fats and that sort of stuff. And if you continuously do it, can definitely affect your liver and also increase cholesterol in the body. So you have to be really careful because you can develop heart issues in the future if you continue on that path. If you're doing unhealthy fats and exorbitant.
So Reni, that's the answer to you. So please consult your doctor. That's the major kind of advice, because a lot of people just go to the internet. We've got the group of ladies, let's just go all on keto diet. It's not going to work this way. So let's extend it next time. I really want to go into details about it. I'll just put it in the article that Niloo wrote down, everything you ever wanted to know about keto diet, ketogenic diet. I'll pop it in the link for this article as well, so you will be able to read it if anyone is interested to read a bit more about it. It did happen to me. Thank you. Reni said, fair enough. See, so I just would like to say thank you so much to Niloo for today. So we've got a couple of good questions coming along. So I'll review again these questions and send you guys all links. All links to articles leading to Niloo as well. I also added up all YouTube videos that we already created for the last year, so you will be able to go back and just to learn a bit more about various subjects. Please pop it in more questions if you've got more questions. So all the sessions will be probably minimum, it's a once a month. This is our aim. So, but we want to do a bit more if we've got more questions. So we need the questions from you guys. So to answer those questions, to come up to the answers. So thank you so much, everyone, to come in today. Thank you, Niloo, for dwelling on those a bit and extending on those topics. And thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. We've got a couple of people still watching. You can watch on Anchor as well. See you next time. We might do it next week, Niloo. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. That will be awesome. If you guys have more questions after seeing this one, then pop them in the comment section and we'll address them next week.
Absolutely. And all videos will be available on YouTube channel. So you will be able to look on Anchor as well. And all right, thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely weekend. Thanks, Niloo, for coming in.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.